Eleanor Whitford had lived in a mansion big enough to echo for decades. But the echoes were the only company she had left. At 68, she was one of the wealthiest widows in the state. Her husband had built empires and donated wings to hospitals. Their portraits hung in almost every room. But portraits didn't laugh. They didn't ask how her day was. They didn't sit across the long, painfully quiet dining table every night. Dinner is served. Mrs. Whitford, her butler said each evening in a lower, respectful voice. Eleanor always smiled politely, then lowered herself into her back chair at the head of the endless table. 12 seats stretched along each side, yet none were ever filled. Until the day Maria, her new live-in nanny, arrived with her 8-year-old son, Isaiah. Maria had been hired to help Eleanor around the house and simply keep her company. But she didn't expect she'd need to bring her child with her. Life had forced her hand. Isaiah's father had disappeared years before, and babysitters were expensive. Eleanor didn't mind at all. In fact, she was strangely relieved. "Please, Brenham," Eleanor had said softly when she saw the hesitation in Maria's eyes. So Isaiah came. At first, he was quite polite, a little shy, clutching a worn-out sketchbook everywhere he went. He nodded quickly whenever Eleanor looked at him and scurried behind his mother. On the 4th evening, as Eleanor sat alone again in her vast dining room, she heard footsteps. Tiny, hesitant, Ms. Whitford. A small voice echoed against the marble. Eleanor turned. Isaiah stood by the door, his hair a curly mess, shirt slightly oversized, holding that ever-present sketchbook. "Yes, dear," she asked. He swallowed. "Can I maybe show you something?" Eleanor blinked. No one had asked to show her anything in years. "Of course. Come here." He approached slowly, then opened his sketchbook. Inside were drawings, beautiful ones. A perfect sketch of the mansion, the garden, the kitchen staff, even Eleanor herself, looking out the window one morning. Eleanor's throat tightened. "Isaiah, these are wonderful." He shifted nervously. I never showed anyone before." "Why?" He shrugged. No one wanted to see. That was the moment something in Eleanor's heart cracked open. "Isaiah," she whispered, touching one corner of the page lightly. "I would love to see everything you draw." His eyes sparkled. "Really? Really? Dinner that night wasn't so quiet?" Nor was the next one. By the end of the week, Isaiah was sitting in the seat beside her, swinging his legs, asking endless questions. "Ms. Whitford, did you really meet a president?" "Yes." "Did he smell like old paper?" Eleanor laughed an honest, belly-deep laugh she hadn't felt in ages. The staff froze outside the dining room door. Some whispered, some smiled. They hadn't heard that sound in years. One night after dinner, Isaiah climbed onto the chair beside Eleanor and leaned in as if sharing a secret. "Why do you eat alone?" Eleanor sighed. "Because there's no one left to eat." What about friends?" She looked away. "My friends grew old, and then they were gone." A pause. "And I never had children." Isaiah frowned as if the injustice of that was too big for the world. "That's sad," he said simply. Eleanor nodded. "Yes, it is." He thought for a moment, then slid his tiny hand into hers. "Well, you can sit with us now. Me and Mama." If you wanted, those simple words hit her harder than any loss she'd ever endured. She squeezed his small hand. "I would love that." And so it began. Every meal became a little louder, then a lot louder. Isaiah would tell her about superheroes he invented, teachers he didn't like, and foods he wished had never been created. He asked her to tell stories about her husband, her travels, her childhood. He drew cartoons of every story she shared. Soon, the dining table felt smaller, warmer, more alive. Even the staff started poking their heads in, smiling quietly. But the real change came on a rainy Thursday night. Eleanor was in the parlor when Maria rushed in, clearly stressed. Double quotes, "Mrs. Whitford, school called. They're having an art showcase tonight. His teacher said he won an award. But I don't have a car this evening, and the buses are delayed." Eleanor didn't hesitate. "Get your things. We're going." Minutes later, her Rolls Royce was cruising through the storm. When they arrived, the gymnasium buzzed with parents, kids, and teachers. Posters hung from the walls. Colorful drawings lined wooden EASELS. Then, Eleanor froze. At the center of the room, framed with a ribbon hanging from it, was Isaiah's drawing. Of her, not just any sketch, one filled with warmth. She was laughing, head tilted back, hand on her chest. He had captured her joy, her rebirth. A caption beneath it read, "The lady who found her smile again." Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. Isaiah ran up. "Ms. Whitford, did you see?" She crouched down, tears filling her eyes. "Isaiah? It's beautiful." He grinned proudly. "You look happy in it?" She cupped his face gently. "Because of you, I am." The room softened. Parents whispered. Teachers smiled. Even Maria wiped her eyes. On the drive home, Eleanor sat beside Isaiah in the back seat. He leaned against her, tired but glowing. "Ms. Whitford, He murmured. Double quotes? Yes. Do you ever wish you had kids? Her heart twisted. Yes. Every day. Isaiah opened one eye, sleepy and bold. Can I be like your kid? Just a little bit. Tears rolled down her cheeks before she could stop them. Isaiah, she whispered, pulling him gently into her arms. You already are. From that day, the Whitford mansion felt different. Isaiah's laughter echoed through hallways, once filled only with silence. He ran down the staircase each morning. He painted in the sunlit corners. He filled the dining room with stories so outrageous, the staff had to hide their laughter behind their hands. And Eleanor, the woman who once dined alone at a table fit for royalty, now shared every meal with a small boy whose presence stitched her heart back together. Months later, on a warm summer evening, she signed papers in her lawyer's office. Maria watched in shock. Mrs. Whitford, you don't have to, I want to, Eleanor said firmly. Isaiah deserves a future, a good one. She had started a trust fund for Isaiah's education, enough to take him anywhere he wanted to go. When she walked into the mansion that night, Isaiah ran toward her. Ms. Whitford. Look, he held a new sketch. The three of them, Eleanor, Maria, and Isaiah sitting at the big dining table together. Isaiah looked up at her, his eyes gentle. Now, you never have to eat alone. Again, Eleanor hugged him tightly, closing her eyes as the last empty space in her soul finally filled. Because sometimes, family isn't given, sometimes it arrives unexpectedly holding a sketchbook. Smiling shyly, asking if they can sit beside you, and sometimes. That's all it takes to bring a home back to life. Moral of the story, love doesn't always come from where we expect it. Sometimes the people who enter our lives quietly end up healing the loudest parts of our hearts. Family is not only made by blood, it's created through kindness, connection, and the courage to care.